In 2023, I finally got the world famous NC500 checked off the list after many years of waiting. It wasn't my first time riding in Scotland, having done the Land's End John O'Groats in 2021. I had actually been quite nervous about it. I built it up and had many expectations to meet. I was worried about the weather, the long camping trip over the week with Pooley. From past experiences travelling with friends, I learned that stressful situations in close proximity were the quickest way to lose friends. Sadly, I didn't know this would be the last time I would tour with Pooley and my beloved Transalp. Day 1, Friday 16th of June. Derby to Squires Cafe, Leeds. I was at work till mid-afternoon and then set off from Derbyshire to Squires Cafe north of Leeds. I had planned to meet Pooley at Squires Cafe campsite, saving us a few hours of riding the next day. It would make the ride easier, and from past experiences, the first day was always most stressful, and where things always went wrong. I remember it as an easy, straight, boring motorway ride. I think we stopped a few times, mostly as I needed a break. Pooley actually finished late and actually caught me up at a petrol station just as we were both filling up. It was our regular fuel stop. We got to Squires, with things getting dark, we pitched up and then went to the pub, had a pint and planned over the next day's trip and looked to the route again and hit the sack. Day 2, Saturday 17th of June, Squires Cafe to Dryman Camping in Glasgow. And welcome to Squires Cafe camping.
Sounds like you're doing a David Attenborough instalment.
And here we have the Pooley in the wild at a camping site.
With a little tea towel.
Organising his tea towels.
Or trying to.
Oh, here you have the mighty DeVille and the old Transalp. And I've got a little upgrade for this trip. Wind deflector, thought we'd give it a go, see how it goes. But yeah, here we are. All bloody night. Trains. So we're coming to here, just keep in mind, if you do stay in this field.
We've got Thomas and friends.
Yeah, to keep you company all night. All night! Did I forget to mention? All night! We had an interesting night having camped out next to the train line. I do actually remember the train tooting all night as we went past. I did feel a little tired, but it was that blast of cold morning air as you unzipped the tent that actually surprised me. We're only about 100 miles north of Derbyshire, but the air was just so different. The light felt different and the air was just so fresh. Actually, I think one of my favourite things about camping and being out there is waking up in nature. We popped into the cafe, had a cuppa and we soon left. I did actually feel nervous. I don't know why. I remember I kept checking that I had not left anything any start, but nothing had dropped off. Does everyone else do that? Or was that just me? We had a 9 o'clock start and then had our first stop at Hawes. We actually found 3 DeVilles parked there. I've never seen Pooley so happy. Plus, I think he got a new few subscribers to boot. The next hours were just motorway runs, but I do remember crossing the border into Scotland and it started raining a few minutes after. I just laughed so much. I mean, I think it's the 3rd time that's exactly the same thing's happened to me. As soon as I cross the border, it starts to rain. I mean, you just can't make it up. Getting close to Glasgow, I was quite curious, as I've never actually been there before, but I'm a massive fan of Billy Connolly, and he's referenced so many places in Glasgow over the years, and I was really curious just to see a little bit of the place. I know a little bit about its history, historical importance, but what I had imagined were these shipyards and endless industry and pubs everywhere with a character on every corner. Perhaps something that only ever existed in the stories I've heard or in a life that's vanished 50 years ago. But I actually hoped over the trip I'd hear more accents and more slang, and I was always quite curious. These things that you hear on TV, is that what the local people actually, is that how they talk? Sadly I didn't. We got to Dryman later than I hoped. The weather had not helped. Having skidded on the Transalp twice, I wasn't feel like pressing it too much. Day 3, Sunday the 18th of June, Dryman clamping in Glasgow to Wick River Campsite, John O'Groats. Dryman was just a farmyard with a few shower pods on one side and a kitchenette on the other. A few pitches on one side for some tents, but then I suppose that's all you need. And for the price of about £20-25, I can't really complain or ask for more. We finally got ready and left. I was actually hoping to get a bite to eat, but those types of mornings where we just need to get out and get on the road and figure out that kind of stuff later. We've had a nice little run out this morning. The roads are fantastic. The sun's come out to dry. So it's drying out. At least it's not raining. It's a very nice little breeze. So yeah, it's having a nice time. It's very, very picturesque. Fantastic. I do love, I think it's a railway bridge. You've got people going across it, cycling and all sorts. That's a fantastic picture. The weather got worse as the day progressed. We got on the motorway and we headed towards Inverness and then a camping spot near WIKI. On the way we had a few stops and a nice lunch at the Taste of Persia. I remember the last time on my Land's End on a great trip stopping there and being absolutely sodden wet. But this time we had a fried Scottish breakfast and it was very nice. This time I've got to say it was a lot easier, but the wind really took it out of me. It was just exhausting and I remember needing a fair few stops to rest. I saw Glencoe and Loch Ness for the first time and it was absolutely stunning. I really kicked myself for forgetting my cameras. I was so annoyed. But we stopped a fair few times to take pictures. And we stopped at a very picturesque spot at Loch Ian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and a few other places along the way. It was a very long road. After just under 300 miles today, due to a few detours and plenty of rest stops, we reached WIKI just around 6:30. We pitched up and got a much needed rest. Day 4, Monday 19th of June, WIKI to Ort Gwish Inn, Garv Rocha in Ullapool. And here we are in WIKI on a wet Monday morning. It's day 4 and here, so we stopped last night. Yep, there's a train in the background, yeah, but it's been nice. So the top of Scotland, WIKI, was a really nice campsite and we got a really good night's sleep. And I think I can actually see myself having a couple of days there. And I think until this point it was very nice, but that rugged side of Scotland that we see on postcards or TV, or that biscuit tin Scotland, I think really started from here. And it was brilliant. Exploring the area, going at Quinn speeds, taking our time, stopping for pictures constantly. And I can remember around every corner I'd go, ooh, that's stunning. 5 minutes, a couple of minutes later, oh my God, that was beautiful. Stop again, let's take a picture. And I imagine everyone's trip to Scotland being the same. But soon we had to get on with more riding and less faffing. But I had it off today, and the Transalp was feeling poorly after that. I was really fed up and disappointed in myself. Well, I should have known better, and I'd probably traumatised Pooley more than I usually do. I just felt really like a plonker and just really annoyed with myself after that, and I limped to the next site. The meal in the evening was actually excellent, and so was the beer. We stopped in our first hotel room of the trip and had a hot shower, and a good night's rest, which got me ready for the next day. Day 5, Tuesday 20th of June, Ort Gwish Inn in Garv in Rocha, the Staffin Camping Park. A brilliant day after the disaster yesterday. For me, holiday is about seeing new and interesting places. Check. Meeting really interesting people. Check. Actually met Tom, this fuel delivery angel. And within minutes of meeting him, it was like we'd known each other forever. He was such a brilliant guy and he was just so much fun. What else? Learning lots, check. Trying new and interesting foods, check. I think it was the 10th or 11th best chippy in Scotland, I think it was. Plus loads of Scottish ice cream and loads of other local foods and other things on the way. Just snacked my way down to the next camping site. Overall, my memory of the day was sitting on the side of the loch, watching the waves and the university lads on the holidays messing about. It was quite amusing, as they did have some hilarious banter. I got some fuel and a well-deserved chocolate bar. I think it was a crunch bar. I had that since the 80s. I don't really tend to have much chocolate normally, less than an ice cream, of course. But I felt like a kid in the shop being asked by my mum to choose a sweetie. I had no clue of half the selection. But going through the single tracks back to the main road was so cool. I felt like I found a secret road, and that's one of the things I really like about the Highlands in Scotland. Finding these little special nooks and crannies where, there's something special to be discovered. And it's quite a magical feeling about the place at times. The air was fresher and a little more natural, and you're discovering new every single time you go. Day 6, Wednesday the 21st of June, staffing caravan and camping site to Keswick Caravan Park. It was a shorter day for me as I needed the rest. It was heavily raining, so I waited at the campsite toilet, just waiting for the rain to stop. And I actually think I started chatting with a couple from Yorkshire. He'd been having quite a challenging week with the local drivers and had a lot of near misses. I ended up waiting for Pooley at the wrong co-op due to my detour to fill up an E5. There is actually a genuine shortage during my trip, and I had to fill up as much as possible at every opportunity. In the peak season, it's a nightmare, I'm told. So in the future, I might actually want to bring a little fuel can during these peak periods. I think everything was stunning. I think Loch Carron and Skye were my personal highlights, and I'd like to come back with the kids at some point. I stopped off in one shop and we were desperate for a cuppa and a cake, and had a very painful, expensive cup of tea. Scotland is quite expensive and quite a bit of a tourist trap in places. Oh yes, we went through Loch Ness again, and it was a really nice ride. We got back and Chef Pooley was out cooking again. We actually had a great evening, just talking bike, laughing and joking. And I think that's one of the best parts of trips like these, creating good memories and smiles and perhaps things in our daily lives that we miss. It was great just to be a bloke telling stories, having a laugh with his mates without care in the world. I think I spent a lot of my time giggling like a little schoolboy at silly things. I'm lucky to have it and a good friend to share these moments with. My little inner Quinn has had his fun and is beaming. Anyway, the riding was amazing, but the experience has been unforgettable. Day 7, Tuesday the 22nd of June, Inverness, Keswick Caravan Park to Northumberland, Coast and Castles camping. It was over 300 miles today. During the ride down, the weather held. I think we were quite lucky to get quite a good riding day. And here we are with a gateway, a double gateway with a view. This for you saddlebags. And a fantastic road. But it's going to get very, very fun very, very soon. Let's go. Today was the last hurrah. Going back through the Cairngorms was actually amazing. A perfect end to a brilliant trip. The disappointments were that it seems that the Cockbridge sign had been replaced, is now painted onto a boulder, with the only sign we saw written his Gaelic name, we think. Castles were far away and hidden, so it was impossible to take pictures with the bikes. But the weather was actually quite nice. The long, straight, largely flowing roads made good riding, but when I'm riding alone, I tend to just plod along at 50, 60 miles an hour. But having Pooley there, we made much better progress, and we got to the camping site on time. I actually really felt like a kebab for some reason, and we stopped at a shop to get something. Seeing how slow it was, we just left. So I'd order one and get one to the campsite later. And it was spot on, and I was starving, and along with the beer, it was a fantastic end to our trip. Overall today, I was actually sad to be finishing the trip and was feeling down. The route from the Cairngorms was brilliant, or absolutely fantastic, as Pooley would say. Wednesday the 23rd of June, Coast and Castles camping, back to Derbyshire. The last day on a trip's always nostalgia for me, and it's a slog getting back home, with mostly motorway miles and endless hours, staring forward just filtering or going through traffic slowly, knowing that the adventure is over and it's back to life. All those months or the year of savings have gone, a head full of memories, the bruises from one's latest calamity healing, and the laughs and smiles from last night's conversation over a few pints and great food are still ringing in your ear. I start to plan my next trip. After all, what's a good story without part 2? And this one I finally can get some more ice cream in. The end.